Thank you guys. Actually, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for all you guys, all our vendors and all our sponsors. You guys are the ones that's making this possible. So thank you. You guys are making this or allowing us to do this every single year. And our goal is to get this thing bigger and bigger. And we're just going to keep doing it. I mean, we've got a great crowd today, and we're just going to keep doing it until this thing gets to where we see our vision. And it's been talked about so much today, too, about seeing a vision and going after it. And I did a talk up in Park City at the Wellness Alliance about 2 months ago. And somebody asked me the question, how did you choose this path? I didn't. God chose it for me. And we've been talking a lot about that today, too. So anyways, so see if I can get the clicker right. So today I'm going to be discussing victim mentality. It's something that I could probably, which is a big word, guarantee every single one of us in this room has done this. I will also be introducing the word woundology. And the reason why I'm introducing the word woundology is because I think it fits very well with what I'll be touching base on, the Cartman's Triangle. Last year when I did my talk, I actually shared a video. It was about an 8-minute video. This is actually not the right picture from it, but it was the one that worked on the computer, so we stuck with it. In Rocky Balboa, which I think is the 40th Rocky movie, actually the 6th, Rocky's son walks into the restaurant and he asks his dad if he could speak to him outside. So they go outside. Rocky's son starts on him. Something about him taking a fight. And he's saying, you know, every time I get ahead, every time I think I'm going to make a difference, something like this comes along. The only reason why I'm where I'm at today is because of my last name. Rocky asked his son, so you think I'm hurting you? Rocky's son says, yeah, in a way you are hurting me. Last year I showed the video. This year I memorized a little bit of it. And it goes like this. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or anybody isn't going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. So if you know what you're worth, everybody out here, if you know what you're worth, you got to be willing to take the hits. And stop pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him, her, or anybody. Cowards do that, and that's not you. Every single person in this room is better than that.
Let's go! Yeah.
So just for a moment, I'd like you guys to reflect on a time when you fell in the victim mode. Was it a month ago? Was it a week ago? Was it on your way in to the event? Was it because somebody said something to you? Something happened to you in the grocery store at work? Maybe it's because of a divorce. Maybe just your partner. Maybe something in your past, some trauma. So I want you guys just to reflect on that for just a moment. Caroline, and I think I'm saying it, is it Miss? Mace, thank you. Caroline Myss is a 5-time New York best-selling author. She's an international renowned speaker in human consciousness. And she coined the word woundology. Now, I'm bringing all this together, and you guys will find out why at the end of this talk. Caroline coined that word woundology Because as she's doing her studies, she's realizing how many of us blame, we complain, and we justify our actions. Blame, complain, and justify. Again, I bet you everybody in this room has fallen into that. I have. I'm not innocent. And the reason why I'm bringing up woundology is because what I'm getting ready to share with you, I believe meshes very, very well. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of the Cartman's Triangle. I never heard of it until I went through my training this past winter that David Susan did with me. Something Dave said at the beginning of this training that really caught me. He said, class, what I'm about ready to teach you today is going to change your life. And really, this is the first time Dave heard this. When I first heard him say that, I thought first thing that popped in my head was bullshit. How is what you're going to show us today going to change my life? He wasn't wrong. Those of you that don't know about the Cartman Triangle, there's two triangles. There's a lower triangle and there's an upper triangle. This is the lower triangle, the bottom one. You guys are thinking, well, what's so damn special about that? It's just an upside down triangle. That's really just what it is. But this triangle has a name. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the dreaded drama triangle. Get your attention? It should. Because it got my attention when Dave, while he was in Canada writing on his little board, and he wrote it, I went, okay, this is getting interesting. The three words I'm getting ready to show you, you're going to see why I brought up the word woundology. Down here at the very bottom at the point is the victim. Just like what we talked about just at the very beginning. Victim, I can't do this. Poor me. Relies on others to solve their problems. Refusing to make decisions or seek professional help. I was talking with somebody today who knows someone that was struggling with wanting to get professional help. I don't know if any of this is sounding familiar with you guys. It does with me. Because again, at the beginning of the talk, talking about the Rocky, I've got my own story that I will share where the roles actually were reversed. Then we have the persecutor. The persecutor. It's the bully. It's your fault. Blames others for any of their problems. Criticizes, which we've heard that word a couple times today. Domineering. Puts others down. Angry, resentful, hardcore. Rule enforcer. Takes the rights themselves. Gives others no rights. Then we have the rescuer. Again, I have fallen into the victim, I have fallen into the persecutor, and I have definitely fallen into the rescuer. Let me help you gain self-esteem by helping others. Tries to be the nice one, feels the need to fix problems, feels like a failure. So you guys kind of see where the woundology word meshes with this? Blame, complain, and justify. It fits in perfectly with the victim, persecutor, and rescuer. You know what the crazy thing is, though, guys? The victim jumps to the persecutor, to the rescuer. And then the rescuer also likes to go back down to being the victim. Or persecutor goes over to the rescuer. Rescuer goes over to the persecutor. Then we also go back from the victim over to the persecutor. You guys understanding this triangle? All flippin' day long, this is what we do. We sit here and we do this all flippin' day long. And where Dave said it was going to change your life, I really started understanding how it was going to change my life. Because I saw myself in this triangle. I fit in perfectly with this triangle. Once I started learning about this, we've been talking about how the brain first approach, retraining the brain, starting to focus on things a little bit differently. I could be in a grocery store and I could hear someone talking behind me and I'd be going, rescuer. Oh, there's a victim. Somebody would come up to the gym and start talking to me, start telling me what's going on. I'm going, victim, 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 victim. And then I'd start talking and I'd go, oh shit, persecutor, persecutor. No, whoa, wait. Because I finally started recognizing what my thoughts were doing. Before I go into this, matter of fact, I want to back out of that. I'm doing my best to get through this so we have enough time for everyone else. I want to go back and tell you a story where I said, my story reminds me of the Rocky movie. The only difference was that the roles were reversed. When we did our very first Healing Utah Success Summit, August of 2022, those of you who know the Other Side Academy, Dave DeRocher, the executive director, very powerful speaker up on stage, has a great story to tell. I remember after the event, I went up to him and I said, Dave, when we get back to Salt Lake, I want to take some time with you and I want to just pick your brain. I want to be like you on stage. I want to grasp the audience. I want to pull them in. I want them to hear what I'm saying. Well, that talk didn't come until January of 2023. Went up to his office. We started talking. Dave shared something with me, very valuable. All the other times when I've done my talk, I shared my ex-wife's story, not my story. And he basically put his finger right in my face and he said, you start telling your effing story instead of her effing story. That's her journey, not yours. It taught me a pretty valuable lesson that day. We've been talking about how God directs us in different ways. His plan laid out perfectly that day. Robin Sims, who is his assistant, was in Dave's office. She was actually my guest co-host on the show that day. So we meet at the studio. The guest doesn't show up. 20 minutes goes by. No guest. Called, text, emailed, no word. I've had that happen before. Sometimes, it's hard to be vulnerable on a show. Talk about your past that you're not proud of. So Robin goes, I guess no show, huh? I said, no, there's going to be a show. I'm going to take Dave's advice. You're the host. I'm the guest. Robin ended up being the host of the show that day. I was the guest being interviewed. For the very, very first time, I shared my story about my 8-year weekend cocaine and alcohol use, which caused me to lose my job in 2009. Good. Which caused me to be on this path that I'm in today. Ryan spoke about it in his talk. Let me tell you the blessings that come out of this. March of 2009, a couple months afterwards, I'm at work. Matter of fact, I'm working on a house. Cap was there that day at the house. We worked together for a little while remodeling homes. My phone rings and I pick it up. See, it's my daughter. So I pick it up. Hey, sweetie, what's up? She goes, hey, Dad, what you doing? I said, just sitting here at work, working on a house. She goes, do you got a minute? I said, yeah, of course I got a minute. She goes, I need to share something with you, Dad. But you're not going to like the first part. As a father, hearing that come from your daughter, I mean, literally, I kind of felt my knees buckle, thinking, what the heck is she going to say to me? She goes, Dad, when you started your podcast, I wanted to do everything I could to support you because I loved the idea of everything. She goes, but as time went, I wanted to support the podcast, but I didn't want to support you. You can imagine how hard that felt, how bad that felt. It hurt so much having your daughter tell you she didn't want to support you. My brain's going crazy. Oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? What's happened? What did I say? Did I say something I don't remember? I'm going crazy. And then she shared with me, the reason why I did not want to support you is because I've listened to a lot of your shows. And all the time you play the damn victim. Because what was I doing? My life was miserable because of my partner's alcoholism. I blamed everything on it. My finances, how I was feeling, whether I was happy, not happy, fell right into that bottom triangle sandbox. And that's why I was sharing their story, right? Because I got to be the persecutor and the rescuer at the same time. It has to fit. You can't just do one. You got to do all three. Woundology. I had to blame, I had to complain, and I had to justify. That's why my life was so miserable. But this is where the blessings come out. Because I opened up and was vulnerable, life changed. She goes, Dad, I was in the kitchen and I'm making dinner. I'm on my iPad and I'm looking for podcasts to watch. And she goes, I came across your podcast, but it wasn't your face. It was this woman's face. And I thought that was kind of odd. And then I looked down at the title, and the title said, Own Your Own Shit. And that was Robin that came up with that name, by the way. So she said, I pulled it up and I listened to it. And she goes, and I listened to it again. This is where it's hard. I cry every single time I get to this part. As parents, we're supposed to tell our children that we're proud of them. My daughter told me she was proud of me. That meant everything to me. Everything. And it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have taken advice from somebody who's been there and done that. She says, Dad, I am now one of your biggest supporters. I will watch as many podcasts as I possibly can. And I will share it with as many people as I possibly can. What I'm saying to you guys today, and I hope I get in your heads just like Dave and Susan during our training got into my head that day, which I remember, it was our third class. You can change your life. You've heard it being talked about throughout this whole summit. Refiring the neurons, refiring the brain, right? just creating new habits. And by the way, I did what they did. I brushed my teeth for 10 days with my left hand. And by the 9th day, I was getting pretty good. It wasn't bad. It was all right. So, let me tell you what's going to happen with your life. Here's the upper triangle. When you guys start paying attention to your thoughts, when you start realizing when you're stepping into the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer, pay close attention. Because like Dave said, it will change your flippin' life because it has changed mine. And I still have a lot of learning to do because my brain's been programmed for 61 years to think of a different way of thinking. And I'm doing everything I can to change that. Because when you start paying attention, you become the hero and the creator of your life. God bless. Thank you, guys.